In this video, I'm planting up this new border that I've created specifically for my cut flowers. So today I'm going to plant up the third of 3 new borders that I've built over the winter to accommodate all the cut flowers that I'm growing this year. I built this one in the winter after I did my bulb haul, and I went back and I bought even more bulbs. I realised I was not going to be able to plant them unless I just built a new border and dug a trench, basically, which was what I did here. And in fact, I've probably made this too wide for cut flowers because, as you can see, I can't reach. I have to walk through. This was originally a raised bed and I had 3 of them, but you can see it's a bit rotten. The only reason I didn't dismantle it was because I'd already planted those tulips up. This is a peony bed. It's going to have more flowers in it, but for now it's got peonies in it. And this back hedge here, all this is going to be cleared, and there's going to be a new meandering. I can't stand those straight sort of railway line borders. They're so boring, thin and narrow. So it's going to be more curvaceous. This is my art studio, that brick building there, and it's going to sort of weave around there. So this is the border I wanted today. I don't want to wait until I've done all the borders because I need somewhere to put out some plants as I go along. Alright, so having dug out my borders and having a rough idea where they're all going to go, I wanted to just enrich the soil with some of my own homemade compost. This is my compost heap. This is the reason I didn't want to show you before. It's horrible, but you know, that's compost heaps for you. But the soil I've created, the compost from just kitchen waste, some grass clippings, eggshells, cardboard. Over the years, it has just, you know, made this. Isn't this wonderful? I mean, it's just unbelievable, really, when you look at the state of the compost heap that it's made that. But you know, great compost like that would probably cost quite a bit. So I've definitely saved myself some money. And the recycling aspect, of course, is just, you know, priceless, really. So that's going to go into this bed. I do have a few issues where I've got to have a little bit more compost hygiene, just because I did have things in there that I shouldn't have in there, little bits of plastic and I don't know, like a sponge ball, probably one of the dog balls or something got in there. So now that that one's empty, I will take a little bit more time to care for that. So as you can see, I just took out the grass. I took out the clods of grass that with roots on, but I tried to keep as much soil as I could, and I'm just enriching it then with the compost. So I think here I'm going to plant my ranunculus, and I'm going to do my first planting of gladioli. It's been a really mild spring, and I think because I'm going to plant them quite deeply that I don't really need to worry about frost now at this stage in the calendar. I mean, you know, it could still frost, but I don't think it's going to affect the bulbs at 10 centimetres down, which is pretty much how deeply I'm going to plant them. And the ranunculus are going to go out in a sort of, I'm going to create a slightly separate border inside this border because I do still need to protect them from the dogs digging, and I'm going to wait till they've got a bit of foliage on them before I remove that temporary border. So it's going to look actually a bit of an eyesore just while they get established. But here is why I need to do precisely that. Both my dogs love digging and hiding their little treats in the garden for when they want a little snack later. So even though I don't want to build this temporary structure inside the border, I really don't have any choice because there's no point sprouting all those ranunculus and anemones just to have the dogs scatter them all over the garden as they dig like crazy. And then I put the TP, which is just bamboo sticks, I put the TP back where I want the sweet peas to grow. But I did need to toughen this up a bit because it was a little bit wobbly. I only tie it at the top because I pushed the bamboo down so far into the soil that it makes it really solid at the base. They're really, really tall bamboo sticks anyway, so I just need to tie it at the top with new string to secure it, even it out so that it's straight, and that's really all I needed to do. I think I used about 5 or 6 sticks. because the ground was wet and newly dug over, it was really easy to wedge them in nice and deeply, soil that is. And then all I needed to do was replace this old string here that had overwintered. These were used last summer, and put in on some nice string, new string, and tighten them. And once they're tied at the top and the bottom, you don't need more than that really. I may put another couple of rows of string on the way up just for the peas to grab onto as they're growing. But really, in terms of the solidity of the structure, once this was bound at the top robustly and sort of pushed, a good half a foot at least, maybe a foot into the soil, probably more like a foot into the soil. They were really tall bamboo stakes. It actually really made a solid structure by the end of it. The only reason for adding more layers of string, like a ladder all the way up, would be, as I say, for the peas to grow on, not to strengthen the integrity. The structure is pretty strong as it is. Because this is an English cottage garden, I will have such structures dotted around the garden in various borders, and in pots also, to provide height. And obviously I have loads of sweet peas because I love them. So alright, so I'm pretty happy with that. It's all looking good. It's ready to plant up, but I am actually really running out of time. Alright, so this is what I did, is I just unrolled one of those border rolls, and I've put it where I want the ranunculus to go in the border, so that I can cover it with this chicken wire so the dogs can't build it up. Sorry, I had to jump to this because my film ran out as I was filming. Then I scattered, and I literally just threw the gladioli on in handfuls so that they would scatter naturally and create a nice natural appearance. And then I'm going to use this little gap here to start some seedlings. So this isn't a permanent planting structure. The gladioli will be permanent, and the ranunculus will of course be permanent while they're growing. But this is to allow for other things to grow also, this structure. So the sweet peas, you see, will come up right above. The gladioli will grow around and behind, and then the shorter ranunculus will come at the front. And I've even left myself some space at the front to plant other perennials such as geraniums or things that can soften the edges of this border so that you don't see it as such a hard landscaping project. Of course, once the gladioli start to show shoots, I will know where I can plant other plants in and around them in drifts. So hopefully it's going to create a more drifty, natural, soft border. I mean, it looks awful now, I appreciate that, but it won't when it starts to get going. Alright, so the next thing I need to do then is to plant up these gladioli. And the reason you want to plant them so deeply is because it helps to support them, and then they won't topple over, because obviously they're so top heavy, gladioli. So I'm going to really make some effort to plant these root side down. Of course, the flat bit is the root, and then the little spike is it's like a witch's hat really. It's just like a pumpkin. Plant it the right way up. Get them nice and deep. But also this will protect them if there is any residual frost. I mean, we're zone 8 here where I am in the UK, so we're pretty mild and we should be all right. Many of the planting guides say plant them in May, but I don't know. I'm going to succession plant anyway, so I will be planting these now, and I have loads of gladioli. I'll be planting a pile more in other borders around the garden at different stages. I just do what I can when I have time, and then I will do the rest another time. And that kind of gives me a natural succession that fits around my busy life. So I'm just going to then, where they fell, I'm going to plant them. It's as simple as that. I'm not going to move them and try and rearrange them. I'm going to try and just do it all naturally. I want my borders to look natural. I don't want little soldiers. I'm actually a little bit anxious about this ranunculus, where I'm planting the ranunculus, but I kind of am a little bit restricted by that because I do want to dig them up. I think they're hardy. They probably are going to be hardy in the UK, but I am going to dig them up because I will want to plant other things there once they're going over. Do you like my little handy dandy tool? So see why you don't throw out your broken garden tools. This is absolutely brilliant, this claw, for digging down for bulbs and other, well, gladioli, as you can see here. Okay, so I'll get on with that. Alright, so I am really running out of time. I've had so many things to do. I may have to plant the ranunculus in another video. In fact, I think I am actually going to do that. But here, this is a little place, a corner I reserved for doing some seedlings because I didn't want all gladioli and just ranunculus. So I'm going to use this little bit here as a nursery area for planting outdoors. Since the soil is so nice here now that I've tilled it and added compost, I'm just going to put this little triangle of wood here, and then I can cover that with chicken wire so the dogs can't dig it up. I'm running out of windowsill space. I'm even running out of space in the garage. I'm going to do, it's mild enough, I think, to start out doing this outdoor stuff. So I checked which seeds you can start in March in the UK, and I decided that these four I was going to try. So I've got these, the Velvet Queen Sunflower. I've got double mixed tall Scabiosa, which you call pincushion flower, I think, in the US. I've got some cornflower because, you know, they're just great filler plants for anywhere, as well as cut flowers. And I've got the Cosmos Lemonade. Now, it was weird because the other packets of compost said don't start outside till April. So I'm a little bit anxious because I love the lemonade compost lemonade Cosmos, and I don't want to lose them to frost or anything, but I'm going to give it a go. Why not? So these are the Velvet Queen sunflowers, which I'll just kind of plant in this corner because the trench isn't quite long enough over here, obviously. And this is just a makeshift area, and I'm planting sort of two at a time, hoping they'll come up. The great thing about this is that I can really keep an eye on this now, and I'll know roughly what are weeds and what are not. Sunflowers are great because when they come up, they still have the seed attached to their first leaves, so you can tell if it's a weed or a sunflower usually, because certainly in the early stages it will still have its seed attached to its leaves. So that's the sunflowers. So I'll just get on with planting in rows all the other seeds. Most of them were just shallow planted with a fine covering of the soil on top. I'm just going to water them in, and I'm already getting slight reservations about it, thinking, should I put a sheet of glass on top to protect them from frost? Ooh, or is that chickening out? No, this is an experiment. I'm just going to stay resolved, and I'm not going to do that. So this border is almost finished. As I'm thinking about planting the ranunculus in this temporary border within a border, I'm already wondering whether that's really what I want to do. I've run out of time anyway today, so I am going to leave the rest of it for now. So I'm going to be doing a part 2 of this video. I am also obviously developing new borders around the garden, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to squeeze in as much possible growing space as I can, even within the new growing spaces. It's still very wintry, there's not a lot going on in the garden growth wise, so I'm going to basically make the most of these new borders for growing as many plants that I can pack in for the summer as possible. Well, of course, it's the UK, so the very next day we went from spring, beautiful weather, to a deluge. The ground is now boggy and wet. I don't know whether I want to plant the ranunculus in this weather in the soggy ground. So I think that's going to give me some time to decide what I'm actually going to do. I was thinking more about the flow of this flower arrangement, and I'm not sure I want the ranunculus here in a block like that. So I'm actually going to rethink that whole thing, and I may take this structure down and plant something else there. Anyway, here's the rain. Look what it's done to my poor little irises. So I'm just going to spend the day painting today, and I'll get back to the garden, when this eases off. It doesn't. I'm not afraid of rain, but when it's boggy, it does make things a little bit difficult. So even my crocuses, look, they've closed up. They've said nope. Daffodils, though, they're always jolly. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed this video and you found it useful, and that you'll come back and see part 2 and the rest of my growing videos. And I really cannot wait to get to that stage where I'm doing a tour of my summer garden. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Please support this channel by subscribing, clicking the notification bell and the like button, sharing with your friends, and I'll see you again in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.